What's up, everyone, and welcome back to yet another RLCS video. And it's the bye week again, so I thought, it's time to update our power rankings once again and see where I kind of rate all these teams in the world. Honestly, this is kind of like the most straightforward power rankings. I really feel like there shouldn't be too much controversial stuff. I feel like a lot of y'all would agree with what this list I have is. Let's go and hop right in. Once again, starting off some honorable mentions. We got Secret and 100%. 100% is my 12th and Secret at 11. I really, I like what 100%'s doing. I think they're probably the 5th best EU team right now. Mates have kind of, been collapsing, and I don't really think right now there's anyone outside of the top 4 that's really, too close to them. I think 100%'s right outside on that 5th place. So, I'll give them an honorable mention. And Secret, honestly, they're like more like a 10.5. If it was a 10A, 10B kind of situation, they're just outside. But I think they're just slightly worse than our number 10 team. And let's go ahead and hop right in, and that's Complexity. So they are back in their top 10 at number 10 after falling out last week. And honestly, I thought that looked pretty solid. They started out 3-0, got a nice upper round match against Ultimates in the upper bracket after making top 6 automatically, give themselves extra life. And honestly, they looked really good for the first 4 games. First 4 games, like, man, Complexity looking good. They're gonna win. They're gonna get themselves a top 4 and probably even a grand finals appearance. And then it kind of collapsed at the very end here. Ultimates just turned up the heat. It looked like a really solid team those last 3 games, and ended up coming back to beat Complexity. So they did end up falling, and then the very next match, actually, I think I left out a match. They actually played another match in between against, I want to say it's Shopify. Yeah, it was Shopify. They played another match against Shopify, which they won, and then they faced NRG for top 4, and once again, just really could not compete with NRG too much. But I still think that, the only teams they've lost to is NRG, I believe twice now. Lost to NRG twice, and Ultimates this one time. That's the only 3 matches they've lost so far this season, so they're still, they're only losing to good teams, and Ultimates are not too far behind. So I really think this Complexity squad's pretty good. And next we got a big riser. Personally, I didn't even have them close to the honorable mentions. I really was unimpressed with them in the first regional, but Dig came out this regional and showed up. The start day 1, they were like, whatever, played 2 teams they should have swept pretty a little closer than they should have, and then they played KC, and really this should have been a sweep. There was actually a DC in this game, which is the reason that KC didn't sweep, but yeah, that's beside the point. And then the weekend came around, and they actually really, really impressed me over the weekend, taking out not just 1 top 4 EU team, but 2, taking out both NIP and Dig. And honestly, very impressed with how they played in those 2 series. So really, props to you, Dig. You showed up, and that's why they're rising so fast in my power rankings. Just look straight up a really good team. Well, the only reason they're not higher is because that first regional was pretty bad, in my opinion. I know they made top 6, and they lost to like KC, Vitality, and I think it was 100%. So you could say, oh, they just lost to good teams, blah, blah. Really was impressed in the first regional. This one looked a lot better, so they are number 9. And next at number 8, we got my personal favorite, the Ultimates. They had a kind of a rough first regional and, slipped a little bit down my power rankings, but they bounced back. And it all started with this match against Complexity, where First Killer went ballistic. He averaged almost 700 points a game in this series. That is insane for a 7-game series. He went crazy, looked like his rogue self. And then, so they finally started to get on track with this series right here. And then Chronic went ballistic against Evo as well. And then, honestly, didn't look that great in the grand finals. They did take 2 games, but, they still got to the grand finals. They got that top 2 and kind of solidified themselves back in that, second spot of NA. So props to them. Looked good. Just, they're looking better. They looked much better than they did in the first regional. They took out an actually good team as well. They just, they're still just not to the level of NRG yet, losing both times. So unfortunate from them, but looking good, and they're rising up. Next, we have a team that did not move at all, and that is NIP. And honestly, I would not be. I probably could have moved them down, and I wouldn't have hated myself for it. But I think this is a proper spot because they did take out Vitality. I think for the second half of the series and then this series right here, they actually looked really good. I was pretty impressed with them, and I was like, okay, maybe NIP is actually getting it together and they're going to be a good team. And then they played Dig and looked bad. And then they looked bad against 100%, barely. This series is closer than it looks. They really were not very good this series. And then got absolutely curb stomped by KC. They look completely lost in this series right here. I mean, overall, it's just like, I was so impressed, and I was like, okay, NIP is finally putting together. They're going to like, you know, they're going to actually look like a competent team, make top 4, maybe even top 2, and, you know, we can be pushing them up in the power rankings. And then they just fell apart over the weekend. I just, over that, I can't move them. I don't think it's, you know, right to move them down when they only lost to Dig and NIP, but really just not impressed with NIP yet, and I do think they need to get together. Itachi has just been absent so far this season, so I really need him to kind of come back into form if NIP wants to be a better team. Next, we got Twisted Minds, and this is actually regional champion Twisted Minds. That's right, they actually were able to take down the Falcons after being down 3-1 and getting outscored 11-1 in the first 2 games. The fact that they got outscored this badly and still were able to come back and win the series is really, just honestly really impressive by Twisted Minds. I don't, you know, I'm not going to put, even though they technically own the series, like record head-to-head 2-1 over Falcons, I'm not going to push them up too much yet, but really impressive stuff from Twisted Minds so far, getting a regional win, especially if Rise playing 120 ping. That was also pretty crazy, but yeah, I mean, Twisted Minds are looking really good, and I think people are going to be, they've been sleeping on them, and now people are kind of realizing, yeah, this team is really dangerous. I think they're going to make, you know, some waves during the season, so really good stuff from Twisted Minds. Unfortunately, can't really move them because I think all the teams above them, outside of one, look pretty good as well. So it's going to be tough to move them up. But, you know, one more regional win and we could start to slide them ahead. And next, to probably no surprise, is another team that didn't move, and that's Furia. Furia really just kind of got down to business. You know, they started out a little bit slow, going to 5 against Godsend, going to 5 against Secret, but then on Saturday and Sunday, they took care of business. Did not lose a single best-of-7 game. Went 12-0 on Saturday and Sunday. And, you know, starting once again to assert themselves as the best in SAM. So, really not much to say. Looking good. Not, you know, not in the elite group just yet, but still looking great. So, number 5, I think, is respectable for them. And number 4, we have probably one of the more disappointing teams, once again, this weekend. And that is Vitality. They didn't look good. I was very unimpressed with Vitality. You know, first they lose to NIP in a series they really shouldn't have lost to, and then, you know, then they actually rebounded and looked really good against KC, even going up 3-1 before they kind of collapsed at the end. And I was like, okay, you know, maybe Vitality just, you know, had an off day on Friday. They're back. And then they followed up with probably one of the worst series I've ever seen them play against Dig, where they like, I mean, Monkey Moon probably whiffed the ball more times than I have fingers. Like, it's ridiculous. It wasn't very good for Rocket League from them. Was not impressed with them. I rate them pretty highly after the first regional where they only lost to KC, but so far, I mean, outside of this one series, they have not really shown me anything to put them higher at this moment. And then next, we actually have a team that went up despite not winning the regional, and that's Falcons. To be honest, you know, they did lose to Twisted Minds in 7, but to be honest, they were probably the better team for most of that series. It was down the stretch where they really couldn't clutch it out. Otherwise, I thought they were the best team this regional. They looked good. I think they've looked far more impressive than Vitality did, and I think they're going to be probably one of the, you know, they're in that top 4 team lane contender squad that I have a lot of these teams at this top 4 and Vitality, Falcons, and the 2 above. But yeah, I mean, they looked good outside of the last 3 games, so I can't really fault them too much. But I think one more regional, if they put up a form, you know, they can't win another regional and they lose out to Twisted Minds, then we'll have to start actually having some conversations about moving below. But for now, I'll keep them at number 3, and but honestly, probably a slight distance away from number 1 and 2. Number 2 is probably the most impressive team from the NA regional. Well, not even probably, definitely, and that's NRG. I moved them down last week or after last regional because they kind of struggled. They had to go through lower bracket, but did end up winning the regional. This time there was no struggle. It doesn't matter how close somebody's series look; they were never close. NRG looked fantastic this regional. Really impressed with them, honestly. I mean, there's not much to say bad against it. I thought they looked like the best team in NA by a clear mile, even above Ultimates. I don't really think they're that close to Ultimates. But really impressive by them. But unfortunately, the only reason I don't have them higher is because the team above them just looks basically perfect, and that's KC. And I mean, honestly, look at this. I mean, if you take out this one game where, Batir disconnected, but they didn't lose a game outside of the series against Vitality, where, they played kind of poor, and Vitality were looking like the better team, but then they still came back, strike back, and won the series anyways. But Sunday looked straight up like the best team in the world by just such a large margin. Really impressed with KC. I'm honestly at the point where I'm not sure anybody can beat them. I don't think NRG is really on the level of this team either. I think KC just looks far and away the best in the world. I mean, we talked about this last year as well, though. Everyone's like, oh, KC's so good. No way G2, no way any of these other teams can beat them. And they ended up not winning the major. They ended up being the 4th seed from EU. So, anything can happen. But all I can really base off is what I've seen. And so far, I don't see a world where KC don't go undefeated this split. So, that is, but anyways, that's my power rankings. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. No watch parties this weekend with, obviously, no RLCS, but we'll be back next week. More predictions as well. Really looking forward to it. I'm having a lot of fun this RLCS season, and I'm excited for the last regional because, we get to see what teams will make the major, and then before we know it, it's going to be major time. So, really excited. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time.